Okay, Rebecca Blakey, what is going on here? Jack Layton and the party brass tried to dump the word socialist references 2 years ago in Vancouver, but delegates voted it down. Clearly Tom Mulcair wants to do this. What's behind this?
Well, you know, what we attempted to do in Vancouver was do a better job of using the preamble to introduce our Constitution and tell people a little bit more about who we are and define ourselves as a movement. I would argue, you know, that the attempts to do that in Vancouver weren't successful because they didn't do a better job of defining who we are. The party gave us a clear mandate to go out, consult widely amongst the membership, put together a team of people to write something that would more articulately, you know, define and explain to Canadians who we are as a movement, where we come from, where we stand, and what our vision is guided by for the country. And I think this preamble does that, and I don't see how it takes away from, you know, any of what we've achieved in the past. But
it's a change. I mean, there's no question. The current language says now, before the change, that New Democrats are, quote, proud to be associated with the democratic socialist parties of the world. That's not in there either. I guess my point is, and you know, I don't have a point of view, but does it appear as if the NDP is essentially trying to say we are no longer a socialist party, that socialism is essentially something of the past, now we're social democrats?
Well, the NDP has always been a social democrat, democratic socialist party. And so I think that this preamble reflects that, it restates that, and it says very clearly, and I think quite beautifully, what we stand for, which is a rules-based economy in which governments have the power to, you know, implicate themselves in the economy to the best of the interest of most Canadians, for environmental justice, social justice, and economic justice. I mean, that's pretty right on the NDP message for many, many years now, and I just think this preamble does a better job of introducing who we are to, you know, the larger Canadian people.
Is this an attempt, and by the way, your father's on this Blue Ribbon Committee, that's right, and former leader Alexa McDonough is on this. They're trying to do this, and maybe it has a wider appeal, again, but some might argue, and James Laxer, who once ran for the leadership, they're concerned. Some of them say, look, this is our past. Now it seems like the NDP is becoming more like the Liberals. There's a kind of a push toward the center, and you may be dumping the core values that founded the party.
Well, I think that's ridiculous. I think the core values that founded the party are very evident in this new preamble. I think the folks that were enlisted to write it, you know, you mentioned my dad, for instance. Bill Blakey was enlisted in part precisely because he was against some of the former attempts to rewrite the preamble precisely for the reasons that you're purporting. And I think what he and Brian Topp and Hélène Michaud and Pam Beattie and Alexa McDonough have come up with here is a beautifully written document that introduces really well to some who might not already be clear on who we are, and that reminds a lot of New Democrats of who we are, and I think it perfectly reflects our values. I'm very proud of it. I haven't changed my point of view. I'm definitely not a Liberal, never will I be, and I think
Are you a socialist?
Am I a socialist? I'm a democratic socialist, sure.
Okay, so when someone says, now I'm just trying to get defining characteristics. If someone said the NDP is a party of, it's a socialist party, what do you say now? Or it ascribes to socialist values, what do you say?
Well, it depends what they mean by socialist values. I mean, I think I think what you're getting to here, Evan, is that nobody really knows what that word means anymore. And so why depend on a word that has a multiple interpretations? What we do know is what our values are, and those are clearly defined here. And that is to work in government for environmental and social and economic justice with the common good for the most Canadians as our guiding principle. That's what's clearly stated here. I don't think there's any, you know, sort of ambiguity there.
The party can choose whatever words it wants. I guess, is Tom Mulcair's point that even the former wording in the preamble was essentially unattractive to a lot of people that may take a second look at the NDP, but because of those words, they won't. It's a barrier.
Well, I mean, as you mentioned, the attempt to change the preamble, do a better job of having it reflect our values is something that predates Tom's leadership. I think that, you know, sure, the idea of continuing to use exactly the same language that you used in the 1950s forever is, you know, equally ridiculous as trying to, you know, update it every day. We haven't updated our preamble in a while. It's time. And we put together, you know, a team of people who have have a long history in our movement to do that. And at the end of the day, it'll be up to the membership. If they feel like you that this is not representative of their values, then they'll be able to vote against it.
But I don't have any fear. I'm just trying to get at what's behind it. I have no view on it.
Honestly, what's behind it, I think, is that, you know, the former preamble just was not really very clear, and it left too many things up for interpretation, and it hadn't been updated in a while. And so it was time to write a new one, and I think we've done a good job, and I'm hopeful that the membership will agree with me.
All right, well, I got you. We're all looking ahead to this showcase for the Liberals that starts on Saturday, as you know, in Toronto.
Right.
One of the candidates, Joyce Murray, keeps talking about cooperation with the NDP. Are you, as the president of the party, is the NDP conducive at all in cooperating on joint nomination meetings or on any level with the Liberals?
Well, we tried that once and the Liberals backed out, remember? So, I mean, what I'm committed to is making sure that we get rid of the Harper government, and I'm convinced that the best way to do that in the next election is by voting NDP. So, nothing has pointed me to the contrary yet.
Okay, so no, that's a no to cooperation or joint nominations. Is that right?
That's yeah, you can take that as a no. But I mean, it's not up to me at the end of the day. It'll be up to folks all across the country. But I just think that, you know, if we want a real alternative to the Harper Conservatives, you know, I wasn't that young in the 90s. I remember them. And they're, at the end of the day, Liberals talk a nice game, but they govern quite similarly to Harper. And just because he's taken us so far in one direction, we can't forget just how far along that path the Liberals took us themselves. So if we want a real alternative, we're going to be looking to an NDP government in 2015. And I'm very much looking forward to that possibility.
So here we are talking about the change of the preamble. You've got a political pitch in there. That's what a party president does. Rebecca Blakey, good to have you back on the program.
Thanks, Evan.
Thanks so much. And I'm sure you'll be watching what happens on Saturday as the chess pieces continue to move. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thanks.
Rebecca